Good morning all. This video lesson is about the last chapter in signatures titled Letter to Adolf Hitler. The letter was written by none other than Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation. So this is a letter written by the man whom the world remembers as an embodiment of peace and non-violence to a person notorious for violence and brutality. Unlike the other chapters, here I am not attempting to give an introduction to the author. There is no need of introducing a father to his children. Instead, I would like to say some words about Adolf Hitler. Hitler was a contemporary of Gandhi. He was the Chancellor of Germany from 1933 to 1945. It was Hitler who started the Second World War in Europe with the German invasion of Poland in September 1939. His autobiography, Mein Kampf, meaning My Struggle, promoted pan-Germanism, anti-Semitism, and anti-communism. Pan-Germanism actually refers to the movement to unify all the German-speaking people and Germanic-speaking people in a single nation-state. The German invasion of Poland was actually a part of that. Anti-Semitism refers to the hostility, prejudice, or discrimination against Jews. Hitler was notorious for the Holocaust, one of the greatest atrocities committed against humanity. I think the term Holocaust is familiar to you. It refers to the massive genocide or killing of Jews by Hitler during the Second World War period. At least 5.5 million Jews were killed in the name of ethnic cleansing. He argued for the racial purity and strongly believed that Aryans are the supreme race in the world. He wanted to keep the blood purity of Aryans and never wanted them to be mixed with other races. He also wanted the impure races to be wiped out of Germany. He considered Jews as the infection by which Germany is affected. He wanted to disinfect Germany from Jews and created gas chambers to kill them. He called the gas chambers as disinfection centers. Hitler had realized the significance of rituals and spectacles in mass mobilization. The red banners with the swastika, the Nazi salute, and the ritualized rounds of applause after his speeches were all part of this spectacle of power. Followed by the defeat in the Second World War, Hitler committed suicide. Now let's have an introduction to the letter written by Gandhi to Hitler. Gandhi had actually written two letters to Hitler. One in 1939, just before the beginning of the Second World War, or just before the German invasion of Poland. The second letter was written on 24th December 1940. That means during the time of Second World War. Both letters were actually not delivered to Hitler. You all know that India was under the colonial rule of Britain during that period, and Hitler was the proclaimed enemy of Britain. The colonial government of British India intercepted Gandhi's letters, and the letters were not delivered to Hitler. The prescribed letter for your study is the second one, written on 24th December 1940. Before going into the letter, I would like to ask one question to you. Why should we study a letter written by Gandhi in 1940? What is the present day significance of this letter? The answer is, this letter written by Gandhi to Adolf Hitler has great significance in contemporary times. Racial or communal fascism is still raging high in our society. Violence against humanity continues in disguised and sanitized forms. Nations and their leaders are becoming increasingly violent and intolerant of differences. Even in Gandhi's own country, one can be brutally killed for being a Dalit or for eating beef. Indian society is actually a plural society. Multiplicity, plurality, or hybridity is the soul of Indianness. But the recent attempts of fascists to change the plural identity of India into a singular one and thereby denying the rights of others even to call themselves Indians and asking them to bring documents of their great-great-grandfathers to prove their roots or their rights to be called Indians actually reminds us no one but Hitler himself. Just like Hitler, the modern fascists are also building concentration camps for ethnic or racial cleaning. Like Hitler, they also believe in the blood purity of Aryans. Instead of following science and leading the people through the path of reason, they use rituals, spectacles, religion, and superstitions for mass mobilization. This short and crisp letter, which Gandhi wrote to Hitler, raises his genuine concerns for the sake of humanity. Gandhi begins the letter by addressing Hitler as dear friend. Gandhi affirms Hitler that he has no enmity towards Hitler and that his business in life for the last 33 years was to create friendship universally by befriending mankind, regardless of race, color, or creed. He tries to bring the attention of Hitler towards how the common people look at Hitler's actions of brutality. The common people who live under the influence of the doctrine of universal friendship will never appreciate Hitler's actions. Gandhi also states that there is no doubt regarding his bravery or devotion to his fatherland, and that Gandhi doesn't believe him to be a monster described by his challengers. But doubt arises due to Hitler's own writings, actions, and pronouncements, and that of his friends and admirers. The reason is his acts are monstrous and inappropriate of human dignity and unacceptable for those who believe in universal friendliness or universal brotherhood. For example, Hitler's humiliation of Czechoslovakia, the rape of Poland, and the swallowing of Denmark were monstrous acts. But still Gandhi didn't think Hitler was a monster. Hitler considered these acts as virtuous acts, but for Gandhi, they are acts degrading humanity. Gandhi talks about their unique position. According to him, Indian people resist both British imperialism and Nazism alike. He compares British imperialism with Nazism. According to him, the difference is in the degree. 1/5 of the human race has been brought under the British control, and Gandhi affirms that the resistance of Indians is not to harm the British people. The main aim is to convert them rather than defeating them in the battlefield. He also points out that their revolt against the British rule is unarmed and also by using methods of non-violence and non-cooperation. Gandhi says, non-violence is a method that is indefensible by nature. It is based on the knowledge that no spoliator, or the one who damages, can accomplish his desire without a certain degree of willing or compulsory cooperation of the victim. He also states that rulers may capture their land and bodies, but not their souls. Even they can have the former only by complete destruction of every Indian, be it man, woman, and child. Gandhi also says that if a fair number of Indians, both men and women, refuse to surrender themselves before the spoliators without any ill will against them, there begins the way to freedom from the tyranny of violence. Gandhi assures Hitler that there are a great number of people in India who won't bend their backs before the British, come what may, for they have been trained for the last 20 years like that. Indians have been struggling for the past half a century to throw off the British rule. The movement of independence is becoming stronger than before. This moment has been achieved by the most powerful political organization in India, the Indian National Congress. Gandhi assures Hitler that they attained success through non-violent efforts. It was the right tool to combat the most organized violence in the world which the British power represents. Germany also has challenged Britain. Gandhi expresses his dilemma in seeing which is the better organized violence, the German or the British. Gandhi informs Hitler that they never wished to end the British rule with German aid, as Indians have found a strong force in non-violence which, if organized well, can stand itself against all the violent forces in the world. Non-violent techniques is a do-or-die step without killing or hurting, and hence there is no such thing called defeat. It can be used without money and without the aid of science of destruction. According to Gandhi, Germany has brought the science of destruction into perfection. But the science of destruction is nobody's monopoly. Gandhi warns Hitler that Hitler's methods and weapons could be further perfected by others and used against him by the British or some other powers. Gandhi was right in this argument. We know what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. America perfected the science of destruction and used it against humanity in 1945, which witnessed the human brutality in its extremest form the world had ever seen. Gandhi tells Hitler that he is not leaving any legacy for his people to be proud of. Hitler's people cannot take pride in the splendor of his cruel deeds. Hence, Gandhi requests him to stop war in the name of humanity. He asks Hitler to solve the matters of disputes between him and Britain in an international court of justice. Winning a war won't make Hitler right. It only means his power of destruction was more powerful than others. But the favorable judgment in an impartial tribunal proves on whose side rightness is. Gandhi reinforces the power of his method of non-violence to Hitler, and he claims that he had already requested the British to follow it. In fact, Britain is a friend of Gandhi, though he seems to be a rebel for them at that point of time. Gandhi made his proposal simple because his intention was to make things more practical and familiar. He also brings the attention of Hitler towards the fact that Indians have delayed their own peaceful struggle for the people of Europe who yearned for peace. Actually, the freedom fighters of India had stopped their strikes and struggles against the British during the Second World War period. Gandhi pleads Hitler to make an effort for the same. In short, Gandhi had intended to address a joint appeal to Hitler and Mussolini. He had actually met Mussolini during his visit to England as a delegate to the Round Table Conference. Gandhi ends his letter on a positive, hopeful note by stating himself as Hitler's sincere friend. So here comes an end to the analysis of Gandhi's letter to Adolf Hitler. Thank you.